Let us continue with section 326 of IPC, that is called voluntarily causing grievous hurt by a dangerous weapon or means. Whatever the weapons that is used, that weapon must be a dangerous weapon, and the injury sustained by the injured must be of grievous injury. So this grievous injury is described under section 320 of IPC. The following types of injuries are called grievous. First is emasculation, then privation of eyesight, disfigure of face, privation of teeth. All these things are coming under the definition of the term this grievous injury. Suppose a person due to assault, he was bedridden for 20 days and he was unable to do his normal pursuit of works, then it is also a case coming under the statute of this grievous hurt. So once a person has committed this grievous hurt, that is punishable under section 320, and this punishment that is given under section 326, that is called grievous hurt. So it is taken in a very serious view and punishment is very severe in this case here, and the grievous injury must be established beyond all reasonable doubt. What is that? Suppose privation of eyesight, privation of teeth, disfigure of face, a disfigurement of any face portion, facial aspect, everything, all these things to be taken into consideration. And if these things are proved, it is a clean case of 326, that is called grievous hurt or grievous hurt by a dangerous weapon. And weapon is also a very important aspect. The weapon does not mean certain weapon, it means so many other means that may be used just like a weapon also, that can be also called as a weapon. So 326 is very important section under our IPC. Here punishment prescribed is more than 7 years imprisonment. So now let us come to another important aspect of law, that is called kidnapping and abduction. Kidnapping, that is punishable under section 363. Kidnapping punishment prescribed is up to 7 years of imprisonment. What is called kidnapping? Anybody who kidnaps a person from the guardianship or custody of a person or from India. Kidnapping from India. Two aspects are there: kidnapping from India and kidnapping from custody or guardianship of a person. If these things are established, then it is a clean case of kidnapping. What is called kidnapping from the guardianship or custody of a person? If somebody is having certain custody of a child, then definitely if that person is eluded by somebody and he is kidnapped from the custody of that person, it is clean case of kidnapping. So kidnapping is distinguishable from abduction. In case of abduction, that is punishable under section 362. Abduction means by force or compels a person to be moved from one place to another by deceitful means. So deceitful means is very important factor here. By cheating, deceitful means, the purpose of this section is that there must have applied of cheating. That is, cheating is called deceit. Once deceit is there and cheating is there, then definitely the person has committed the offense of abduction. In case of normally the abduction, the persons abducted are normally the major people, and both are significantly both are almost same, but there is a slight difference between these two sections, kidnapping and abduction. So the abduction, in case of abduction, force is applied, and this force is applied and compels a person. The person was compelled to be abducted, shifted from one place to another. So it is clean case of abduction. So kidnapping and abduction both are almost same, having slight difference. Now let us come to an important section, that is definition of rape. Section punishable under section 376 of IPC. A person has committed rape when he has ravished a woman against her will or without her consent, or with or without consent when she is under 16 years of age. So if these ingredients are established, it is a clean case of rape, punishable under section 376. So here the minimum punishment prescribed is 7 years, and it can go up to life also. So here consent is a very important role in case of a woman, and against her will. If the will is taken against her consent, So consent and will is to be seen very sincerely in this case. If there is a presence of will or consent is there, it is not a case coming under section 376. So it is normally triable by session court, and punishment, as because the punishment is very graver in this case, the evidence and the materials are to be established very cogently by the prosecution case. And the prosecution, if they want to win the case, they have to prove the case very meticulously and very sincerely. And you have to remember one very important thing: the evidence of the prosecutrix or victim, that is, plays a very vital role in deciding a case coming under section 376. If she is establishing her case that against her wish or will or against her consent, the offence has been committed, it is clean case of punishment. So here definitely the accused will be convicted. Here the one rule normally the court used to follow as per the guidelines given by the Supreme Court: the single testimony of the prosecutrix or victim is sufficient to punish a person under this section. Because here punishment is a rule but not an exception. Here what is this saying? That means in case the case is established, then definitely court is bound to convict a person or punish a person, even though the medical evidence or as per the medical jurisprudence the case is not fully established or partially it is established. So medical report, of course, it is very important in this case. Still then, a person can also be convicted if the evidence of the victim conspires confidence on the mind of the court and the case is acceptable and believable. Then only basing on this believable or acceptable evidence, the court can also convict a person under section 376. Now let us come to another section, that is called theft, punishable under section 379 of IPC. What is theft? A person who takes some property dishonestly against the will and without the consent of a person, the person has committed the theft. And the theft property involved, definitely it is involved a movable articles or movable property. So theft is clearly defined under section 379. Dishonest intention must be there without the knowledge or consent of the person. These two conditions are prerequisite to establish a case coming under section theft. So theft is distinguishable from any other sections, just like robbery, dacoity, like this. But theft here, two important things: the property must be movable property, and the person who has moved the property without the knowledge or consent of the person, and there must be the property must have moved from one person who is either the owner of the property or who was in possession of the property. So if these things are established, then it is a clean case of theft. So theft is distinguishable from other offences in many other way. Then let us come to another section, that is called extortion, 384 of IPC. Extortion means there must be some force is applied. Some force is applied and intentionally that force is applied and the person was put into fear, or out of fear he has parted some property. It is a clean case of extortion. That means force as well as some injury is given to the person, or out of fear of injury he might have parted or he must have dispossessed with the property by application of force. The force may be either physical force or it may be any other force of any other form. Force may be by with the frightening a person by showing some weapon, or force may be by giving some other means. So once a force is applied and the property is taken out of that force, it is clean case of extortion. So both theft and extortion are distinguishable in this case. In case of theft, force may not be applied, but in case of extortion, force is there. Intentionally there must be certain force and the person must be frightened, so that out of that frightened or out of that fear he might have or he must have parted with the property. That means he must have delivered the property to the person or aggressor who has committed that force. So in this way, this theft and extortion both are punishable under section different branches of this IPC. Then now let us come to another very important section, robbery, that is punishable under section 392, and dacoity punishable under section 395. Another section, dacoity with murder punishable under section 396. What is called robbery? When a person, less than 5 persons, intentionally giving, threatening to, they parted some property from a person, so that is called robbery. That property must be movable property. So once a assembly of less than 5 persons, they have committed some snatching of some property with the intention to steal, it is clean case of robbery, punishable under section 392. But when assembly of 5 or more persons conjointly they committed robbery, it is clean case of dokaiti. So here, in case of robbery and this dokaiti, these things are, you have to see very much meticulously. Minimum assembly of 5 or more persons are there in case of dokaiti, punishable under section 395, and less than 5 persons are coming under attracting section 392, that is called robbery. So in all dokaiti cases, robbery is there, but in all robbery, it may not be dokaiti. Dokaiti is not there. So in this way, both are distinguishable, but the prime object of this snatching of property by showing a person fear of his life or body, and out of that fear, taking advantage of that fear, the person might have decamped with the property, that is called robbery. So in case of robbery and dokaiti, these things are distinguishable. We have to see in case of dokaiti, that minimum assembly of 5 persons, here the different stages are not required. If even the 5 persons, they conjointly they planned and they committed dokaiti, that is sufficient. The 5 persons committing robbery is equivalent to a dokaiti. So dokaiti and robbery both are distinguishable in this way. In case of robbery, it is having voluntarily causing hurt. There must be some hurt. Hurt must be there. Out of that hurt, the persons they have snatched the property from the person, and the property must be definitely movable articles. Definitely it should not be immovable property, definitely movable. Once the property is taken forcibly and hurt is caused to that person, it is clean case of robbery, punishable under section 392. Now let us come to another very important section, that is called breach of trust. You must be knowing what is called trust. Breach means violation, that is punishable under section 406 of IPC. Here punishment of course is given, lesser punishment is prescribed, up to 3 years imprisonment is there. There must be one thing you have to see, entrustment is the very vital factor to decide the case of breach of trust. Once something or some property is entrusted to somebody, and then only a breach of trust can be created. If something is not entrusted, how a breach of trust can be created? Once there is a breach, basing on that breach or basing on that trust, somebody has breached the confidence. So once there is a trust and that trust has been breached, that means violated, then it is punishable under section 406 of IPC. So entrustment is very vital aspect under this. Different high courts, they have given this, they have given emphasis on this chapter, entrustment. What is called entrustment? Some property is given to somebody under his custody and under his dominion. Once the property is given under his dominion, it is said that the property is entrusted to him. Once the property is entrusted to him, he is the custodian of the property. Once he is the custodian, he can take care of the property in the way he likes. So once there is a violation of that, the method in which he is breaching that trust, then it is punishable under law. Sometimes the trust is of, this breaching of trust is of two types. One thing is called temporary breach, or one is permanent. Suppose some property is given on entrustment to a person and temporarily he is breaching, and again subsequently that is replaced. It is called temporary. Sometimes permanent, completely he is breaching, and that means the entire property whatever entrusted to him, that has been taken away by that person knowingly. So it is clean case of permanent. So here there are two types of this breach, permanent or temporary. Accordingly this section is discussed, and here of course the punishment is not so severe. Here punishment is prescribed up to 3 years of imprisonment. Till then it is taken as offence under. Then another offence that is given under section 407, this breach of trust in carrier. You must be knowing different carriages are carrying articles of goods from place to place. So in this way, the different certain breach is, certain trust is given to the carrier. Carrier means the owner as well as the driver. Once the owner is handovering the vehicle to the driver, the driver is the custodian of that carrier. Once some property is delivered through the carrier, and the person is supposed to take the property to a particular place, and he is not unloading in that place and he is unloading in another place, there is a complete breach of trust. So this breach of trust through the carrier Carrier means somebody must have consigned some article of goods on a carriage. So carrier is there. Here owner driver, they are coming in one side. Somebody is consigned the goods. Consignment is there. So once there is a consignment and there is a violation of that consignment regarding delivery of the consignment in a particular place, then it is a clean case of breach of trust by the carrier. So it is punishable under section 407. So in this way, this 406 and 407 are distinguishable. Both the main motto of both the sections are same. The ingredients are almost same except the carrier. That is the only difference in case of 407. So in case of 406, the entrustment of the property must be proved. What is called physical entrustment? Suppose something is, let us come to a post office. The postmaster is entrusting money to the clerk in charge who is handling the cash. So this entrustment he has to prove through cogent evidence. He must prove certain document that he has entrusted a particular sum of money to the concerned clerk. So, and he has taken that money, he has received the money. Subsequently, what are the money transaction, everything that must be displayed, and that is everything must be reflected in the that notebook. Once there is any deviation, that means whatever the money entrusted to that clerk, he has breached the trust with the postmaster, then definitely he has committed the offence coming under section 406. So in this way, section 406 and 407 are distinguishable from each other. Only the exception is that, only the difference is that the carrier is there. The next sections we will discuss, we will continue in our next class.